Hey ladies, welcome to She. We're super excited to have you on another session. Today I have an amazing speaker. You're gonna learn so much from her. Her name is Vivian. She was formerly a program manager at Apple, full embraced real estate in 2018 with her husband James flipping homes while managing careers and raising two kids, just like many of you guys here. A year later, they began furnishing affordable properties for extending stays, a move and thriving during the pandemic, and simplified property management. Now, Vivian is the visionary behind CRU Homes by Hisia, merging hospitality with real estate, advising investors on encasing rental cash flow through strategic branding and education. So, welcome, Vivian. I'm super excited to have you. Real estate, the midterm rentals is something that I'm not very familiar with. So, I'm super excited to have you on. I know we're going to learn a lot. So, take it on, please.
Thanks so much for having me. And I just want to preface that we will have a little bit of a delay. I mean, a little bit of a short time today because I do have a hard stop, but I'll try and get through as much as I can because this is a topic that I live and breathe every single day, and I'm super passionate about it. So I actually started, like many of you that may have a short-term rental, and I started with one property. It was one of our properties that we were supposed to flip, but turns out that this property was in such a great location. It was close to highways, close to hospitals, close to Austin, Texas. And it was a three-bedroom, two bath, no deed restrictions, no HOA, no short-term rental regulations. And I was like, this is a property that I want to keep and I want to try Airbnb. This is in 2019. And so I started Airbnb, I furnished it, spent lots of money because who doesn't love retail therapy when it comes to writing things off for your business, right? And everything was great. I ended up getting over 50 reviews, almost all 5 star. And then the pandemic hit, and that was in March of 2020. And that's when I started seeing cancellations come in. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing cancellations. I need these reservations to pay for my mortgage. And therefore, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to just stay on Airbnb because I realized the only place I was getting bookings was on Airbnb. Suddenly, these cancellations were coming in. I was feeling really exposed. So I thought, you know what? Instead of letting someone else cancel my reservations for me, I'm just going to take myself offline for a little bit and see if I can do direct bookings. A friend of mine, a mentor of mine, he said, Vivian, try the 30-day model because I'm sure someone's going to need a home. Travel nurses always came up and, people relocating for jobs. And I thought, what's the worst that can happen? So I took it off of Airbnb and I end up getting a family that stayed for 3 months and they paid almost 3 times long-term rental rates. Then after they left, I ended up getting a construction team that stayed with me for 7 months. They didn't pay as much as that family, but they still paid me more than double long-term rent. And that's when I was like, holy smokes, I've just hosted only two guests in a span of less than 1 year, and I'm more than doubling my long-term rents. And that's when I discovered what I call the secret to rental cash flow. Because if you live in Austin and other many markets, it's really hard to cash flow with long-term rates, especially in a high interest rate environment. And I just love it, and I love this model so much that I sold that property and I multiplied it by scaling into duplexes and smaller units so that I can have multiple streams of rental income. So now I have a property management company in Austin, Texas. We manage about 28 properties. So I live and breathe this every single day. I still own 7 of those as midterm rentals. One is a short-term rental, and then another two is another one is my primary home. So what I want to share with you today is that a lot of people that are struggling in short-term rentals, which is happening a lot right now, they are going to be struggling to transition into midterm rentals if they need to. The reason why is because the short-term rental strategy is not going to work with midterm rentals. Okay. If you think about the booking behavior of someone in short-term rentals, they're often planning a vacation. So they're planning a vacation and they're going to want to have that house that they need so that they can organize their friends and they have a place to lay their heads. And they might plan 6 to 8 weeks in advance, sometimes less, depending on the market. Well, what happens with midterm rentals, who you're serving, everybody asks me about travel nurses, but that's not who I'm serving. Because travel nurses typically they want studios and one bedrooms. If you have a larger home, travel nurses is not your avatar. And if you need more than $1,600 a month, depending on your market, but typically they're not willing to pay more than $1,600 per month because travel nurses get a stipend for their stay. And if they do not spend their stipend, they get to pocket it. So they're not really incentivized to buy anything or to rent anything too expensive. They just want a quiet, safe place to leave their head, lay their head. So going back, what I discovered was that there's a lot of people using midterm rentals if they are relocating for a job and if they're remodeling their home, right? Now that interest rates are so high, no one's selling their home. They're getting HELOCs, remodeling their homes, and they're moving out of their home and moving into a short-term rental or a midterm rental so that they're not living in dust every day. But my favorite strategy is the insurance strategy. And the insurance strategy is basically getting corporate bookings for your Airbnb. And we do a lot of these, but you cannot buy a property expecting to get an insurance booking because it's a very specific way that they book. Typically, okay, so let's go back to the short-term rental calendar for a second here. The people that are insurance that book, the people that remodel, and the people that do job relocations, they didn't know 2 weeks ago that they were going to have this life event. So you have to make sure that you're not blocking your calendar in the future because the moment you get one scattered stay is the moment your calendar is blocked. In my experience, I've realized that most people are booking within a 2 week period. My lead times are actually 5 days, and I get a ton of same day or day before move-ins.
Mhm.
It's very, very interesting. But if you position yourself correctly and you have the right property, something that's close to highways, hospitals, large employers, good schools, and you position your property correctly, you can get back to back to back bookings like crazy. So um, that's sort of midterm rentals in a nutshell. And the one thing that I really specialize in is that I specialize in like my background's in supply chain and operations. So I see things in cycle times, I see things in processes and value stream mapping. So I specialize in supply chain and operations when it comes to midterm rentals. And I think that I have a very unique perspective on it. A lot of people that are in short-term rentals, they're so worried about tenancy. They're worried about local guests. They're worried about damages and pets and all that kind of stuff. I was worried too. I was worried about someone squatting. I was worried about how do I sign leases. I was worried about background checks. But here's the thing. If you put in the right systems in place for your midterm rental business, you can actually overcome those obstacles. So, in my 6 year journey of doing midterm rentals and short term rentals, I came open to the idea of using systems on a trip in 2019 or 2020, 2019. I went to Turks and Caicos and I booked a property using VRBO at the time. And automatically, as soon as we instant booked, they sent back a rental agreement to sign. We had to upload our ID. And then when the day before we arrived, they assigned a custom code for us to access the property and all the check-in instructions. And as a beginner to the Airbnb space, I was like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that you can do something like this because the Airbnb app doesn't do that. So that's when I started learning about property management systems. And property management systems can be so powerful because it becomes the brain of your business. And once you have a property management system, you control your business in this system, and then it will distribute your property into different channels. So like Airbnb and VRBO. And before I discovered systems, I would have my property on both platforms and I would exchange the calendars so that they knew which days were blocked. I ended up getting a double booking. And I can't tell you that heart sinking feeling when you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do next? And that's when I started researching and understanding that property management systems, they use technology that directly connects to each other. That way you'll, or to the property management system. That way you'll never get a double booking. It's impossible. And over the last 6 years, I've invested so much time testing different systems. And now I use one called Journey, and unfortunately, Journey, you have to have a minimum number of properties before you can use that, unless you come through my coaching program. But this is just a change this week. Um, so Journey, what's special about Journey is that they use AI tools to screen your guests. So how I do it differently from everyone else that I know is that I turn on Instant Book for midterm rentals because I get a lease agreement on every stay. I get their ID, I get their selfie, I get a credit card hold, and then the AI tool kicks in. And then the AI tool says, okay, the ID matches the selfie, and the credit card billing address matches the ID. And then it tells me if I have any risk with that specific guest. And
Mhm.
it's amazing. So now I feel like I can host continuously, and I'm not really worried about hosting bad guests. I turn on minimum one night stays. I open up my calendar 365 days. I've learned to control the bookings so that I don't get those random bookings in the future. Because I know my guests, they don't know when they didn't know yesterday that they were going to have a fire. They didn't know yesterday that a pipe was going to burst. And would they rather spend their insurance money at a hotel or in a nice home? And I think that if I were to put myself in those shoes, I have two kids, two dogs, my husband. For sure, I would want to be in a home and not be stuck in a hotel. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of the basis of what I teach and my passion for midterm rentals. Typically, when you're analyzing a property, I would say you should really underwrite a home for a long-term rental. I know it's hard to do that. Unless your property is in a appreciating market and it's in a great location, then underwrite it as a midterm rental. And I would say that you should be targeting at least 1.5 times long-term rent. So if long-term rent is $2,000 per month, you should be targeting at least $3,500 per month on rental income as a midterm rental. But doing it right, you can actually double that or even triple that, sometimes quadruple that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do you get the bookings through the insurance directly or people book them?
Right now, I have three different channels of getting bookings. I have Crew Homes, which is my B2B network, and the insurance companies I've been spending the last 2 years working with them, trying to build relationships with them. And I have a network of over 700 homes right now. And therefore, the insurance company can come to us and say, hey, I need a property and I know you have a lot of selection. So if you have a short-term rental and you want midterm rental guests paid by corporate, get your free listing on crewhomes.com. That's CRUhomes.com. But I just want to emphasize, I don't know. Nobody knows when the next flood or fire is going to happen. So as long as we can find you, that's really the key, and it doesn't cost you anything. We'll reach out to you with all the details as to how we work. The second way we do it is we have a property management company here in Austin, Texas, and we only manage properties in the greater Austin area right now. And in that business, we get bookings from Airbnb, we get bookings from VRBO, and we get bookings from direct. But more and more, like this is the last 3 months, I've been getting way more insurance stays on Airbnb than on direct booking. And there's a very specific reason for this. I had a friend of mine, she reached out to me and she said, Vivian, I recently got a booking from ALE Solutions. Okay, that's one of the largest insurance relocation companies. Oh, there's a question. What is the website? My company website is cruhomes.com. Crew Homes. It's actually short for Corporate Rentals USA. So my friend, let's call her Sue. Okay, I don't want to disclose her full name. She goes, Vivian, I just got a super lucrative booking on Airbnb for someone who had a house fire. And they're paying me like $15,000 a month. I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's amazing. And those were her short-term rental rates because she normally does short-term rentals. But boom, because she was in the right place at the right time and the right availability, they were able to book her. And she said, but Vivian, they would save so much money if they just came and booked directly with me. And I said, okay, let's talk about this for a second, Sue. The insurance company is paying for the stay. Good. Their pockets are deep. I said, what about if they were to do a direct booking with you? How much deposit would you request from the guest? And she said, oh, we have a 1 month request. So, how many of you would have $15,000 available to put down as a security deposit on your temporary home? And that security deposit doesn't come from the insurance company. You, as the homeowner, have to pay that out yourself. Then I asked her, how much are you charging for security deposit on Airbnb? And she said, zero. So, a lot of insurance displaced people are going to Airbnb because they don't have to worry about coming out of pocket for that deposit. So, knowing how to position yourself correctly, not only how to write the right copy on your listing, how to manage your calendars, how to set up your properties for long-term stays, how to sign leases easily, how to do background checks, deposit, all that stuff, right? There's like a whole art and science to it. That's so important if you want to do more of these stays. So I hope that was like a little bit interesting to you because I know a lot of people don't understand that because you really don't know what the insurance process is like until you actually have to live and breathe that. But I know that it would be hard for me to come up with $15,000 because, like I said, I didn't plan to have a house fire. I might have that $15,000 allocated something somewhere else where I don't even have it. Like most Americans probably don't even have more than $500 in their bank account or any savings, regardless of whether or not they're a homeowner.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is eye-opening because definitely it's once we think about Airbnb, it's only one strategy, vacation home or, going to another city and that's it. But there's a lot of things that we can explore, especially like the insurance. Like nobody talks about that and definitely that's a huge need and, stable cash flow for you.
For sure. And I want to emphasize that you cannot invest in a property expecting to just fill it with insurance guests. That's not how it works. Typically, someone that has lost their home to a house fire or they experience water damage, they don't want to go more than 2 or 3 miles of their own home. A lot of these are families. They have kids to drop off at school. Maybe they have after school, they go to certain activities, or maybe they go to grandma and grandpa's house. So they're not looking to go very far. So you cannot predict or forecast when someone's going to need a home in your area. But I will drop one gem. If
Mhm.
you're looking at investing, and this is not to say that if you already own the property that it wouldn't make a great midterm rental, but I field a lot of requests for temporary housing, for insurance housing. And we get a lot of requests for curbless showers, walk-in showers, and single-story homes.
Mm.
And almost all of them have one or two pets. So being able to accommodate those requests can be really important. And I think pets, everyone's scared of pet damage. Okay. But you can buy insurance for that and you can charge you can buy damage insurance for that and then you can charge that to the insurance company so that it's not coming out of pocket for you. Or just price it in to your quotations.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Awesome. Well, that was a lot of information and definitely that was eye-opening. I do want to open it for questions because I know some of you, Lucy, and some of you do Airbnb and short-term rentals. So I'm sure you guys have some questions. And I'm gonna put your links on the chat while they ask your questions.
Sure. Got a good crowd.
Yeah, and a little technical difficulties, so we
Yeah.
lost half of people, but it's okay. I'm gonna put the link so you guys can book a call with Vivian and ask her questions about your properties. Any questions? Kim, Dahlia? I think Kim, you just unmute. Go ahead if you have
Don't
questions,
be
please.
shy. Turn on your cameras.
Oh, oh, this is Kim. Sorry, I came on the call late. I was having some problems getting through the link. So I apologize if you've already answered some of these
Hello,
questions.
Vivian.
Oh,
Oh,
so I apologize if you've already asked these questions before, but if you were to do it all over again, like which route would you take? Because I heard you talk about short-term rental and midterm rental. So what route would you take in the short-term rental, midterm rental strategy? Like how would you advise your younger self to kind of fast track success in that strategy?
I wish I knew how to do the short-term rental, mid-term rental hybrid model sooner.
Uh-huh.
The moment I figured that out, how do I accept short-term stays and also do midterm rentals was a game changer because I have like barely any vacancies now because I've just properly positioned the homes correctly in their calendars. And if I had to do it all over again, oh, this is hard to say. Like, I love duplexes. I own two duplexes, and then four single family homes, five
Mm-hmm.
single family homes, and a studio. And I love the duplexes because I never feel like I'm naked from rent. Usually when you have one side booked, and you if you buy it correctly, you have one side booked, then the second side is like bonus money.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that because if you just have a single family home and you're not getting it rented, maybe you're not in the right place or you haven't there can be seasonalities as well. I just don't like that feeling of having zero money coming in.
Right.
So I would say I won't lie because sometimes I get FOMO as well. Some of my students have received $16,000 a month on a single family home that's pretty luxurious, like a nice 4,000 square foot home at 16,000 per month. I was like, that's outrageous because I know that that's a huge cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I also know that that insurance booking is an anomaly. So I try not to have FOMO. I'm pretty conservative. I could probably do really well with a single family home, but I just don't like that
Mm-hmm.
feeling of not having income come in.
No, I understand. And how did you learn the short-term, midterm hybrid model? Like, how did you kind of refine that, learn it, and then refine it?
Yeah, so I learned the insurance program through Dr. Rachel Gainsborough,
Mhm.
and I sort of figured it out, a lot of it through just scouring through YouTube channels, testing, learning data. I use Price Labs a lot to understand what my booking lead times are and understanding what my competition's doing. Does my competition understand midterm rentals? Are they leaving gaps in their calendar? So it's just 6 years of just trying things and refining things as I go along. It's been a journey. It's been really fun. What
Thank
do
you.
you have right now?
I'm new in this journey. And so
Okay.
I'm, I'm trying to understand like what is the best, market that is successful for both short term and midterm. That's kind of I think the hardest hurdle for me right now is just understanding, okay, which ones are the best markets for both and which property once you do identify a market. So that's kind of what I'm struggling with right now.
So you know what you have that I didn't have?
What's that?
ChatGPT,
Okay.
right? So what I would probably do, like, where do you live?
Houston.
Oh, okay. So Houston's great. I think they just started regulating some short-term rentals there. But I would ask ChatGPT the following. I would prompt it and say that, you are maybe with the Houston Chamber of Commerce. And so you get insight as to who is building in Houston, who's getting government grants, who's moving or relocating or expanding. And you say, I would prompt and say, you are the
Mhm.
membership chair of the Houston Chamber of Commerce, and I'm looking to know who is growing their businesses in Houston, who are the largest employers in Houston, where are the largest hospitals in Houston, and also where are the biggest and best schools in Houston. And if you were to combine that information together, which 4 or 5 zip codes would you recommend that I purchase real estate in as an investment property?
Oh, wow.
And hopefully it would kind of pull together some kind of matrices that can help you identify, at least give you a starting point. Because at the end of the day, you really want to be in an area where currency is flowing.
Right.
Currency is flowing in where the hospitals are, where the highways are, where the employers are. So I would start there. And
Mhm.
then from there, you were like, okay, well, what's my budget? Maybe your budget's 400,000 or 500,000. Then you start looking at properties at that price point. And as I mentioned, I always go for 4 bedrooms.
Mhm.
I advise my I'm a realtor as well. I advise my clients that you should buy something that not everybody has. Right? If you were to go to Price Labs or AirDNA, you might see that most people that are doing short-term rentals already have a 3 bedroom. And if those 3 bedrooms are struggling, they're like, well, I'll just switch to the midterm rental model. Now you're going to have a flood of 3 bedrooms in midterm rentals. So I would try and do a 4 bedroom. I think 4 bedroom single story with at least 2 bathrooms is a sweet spot.
Mhm. No, that's really interesting. Thank you so much for that tip. Like I was thinking chat GPT or AI, but I guess I'm asking the wrong questions, you know. I'm like, tell me what proper, I'm going about it the wrong way. So that's really helpful. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Perfect. What about five? Is five even better?
5 could be. So with 5, if you're doing the hybrid model, you got to put a lot of beds in there
Yes.
because not only are you going to get, I would say, up to 16 people. I think some places have limits as to the number of heads, but 16 people is good because then you can get the groups that are traveling, the sports teams, the construction workers. But I
Mhm.
would say I don't love construction workers because it can be really hard on your property,
Mhm.
depending on if they're the what's the politically right way of saying it? If they're the laborers or if they're the foremen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have 2 5 bedrooms in our property management portfolio, and I thought that they would do better. But I
Mm,
think the 4 bedrooms is a sweet spot.
okay. And you were mentioning the insurance insurance bookings, and you were saying, you can't really rely on that. Like how, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, like how often does that come for you? Is it like a 50% or is it 10%?
It is completely random.
Okay.
So I would say in my 2 bedroom, 1 baths, I've only had one insurance day. We currently have a 6 month in a 3 bedroom, 1 bath in one of my clients' properties.
Okay.
We just did a $10,000 a month on a 5 bedroom. I mean,
Oh,
because we have more properties, we have more options for those insurance companies to choose from.
true.
So, but each of those properties, I would say they haven't all done at least once.
They have all done at least once.
They
So
have not all done at least
so it's a
once.
not okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a bonus strategy, but
Mhm.
knowing how to quote them, knowing how to position your properties, because at the end of the day, there is like a sliding scale of how much premium they pay based on the length of stay.
I see. I see. Okay. No, this was so helpful. Thank you so much. I didn't mean to hog up all the time there, but thank you
Oh,
so
no
much.
worries. I
Helpful.
have about 5 minutes left. Is there
Thank
anybody
you, Kim.
else?
I think Lucy had another question. Lucy, you ready? Any other questions, guys? Probably Lucy's busy now. But any other questions?
Oh, here's Lucy. She just unmuted.
Hey, Lucy, you got a question?
How this happened? How did you find out about, and how are you getting partnership with them?
In multiple ways. I've spent the last 2 years, 3 years, sending emails, making phone calls to lots and lots of people. But I found that it's hard to do that because I could call them and say, "Hey, do you have any homes that burnt down?" But they're like, "Yes, but it's in this zip code or that zip code, and I might not have the right property." It's I would say that it's if you only have one property, it's not worth your time to call them. The other way is on Airbnb. Like I mentioned, the last 4 months, I've been getting a lot more insurance bookings. They have this thing called Airbnb for Work program, where if the homeowner finds their own Airbnb, the homeowner, like their house burns down, they're like, the first place they're going to go to is they're just going to see what's available in the area they want to be in on Airbnb. And they find the house, they will send an inquiry, and if everything's right, then they'll contact their insurance company. Their insurance company will now open like a three-way chat on Airbnb, and then they'll coordinate the booking there. That way, the case is opened up by the insurance company, the insurance relocation company. They add the homeowner as a third party, and then they book with us.
Right.
But I do want to emphasize that when you get those, you need to have a lease, especially over 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you are in tenant friendly areas. I mean, the risk is low because it's corporate paid,
Yeah.
but you want to also just make sure you're covered. I see far too many people that are hosting these extended stay guests without a lease.
Yeah. Totally. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Are you hosting someone? Do you have an Airbnb right now or a furnished rental?
Yes, but it's out. Well, I do have one here in South Padre Island, but then I have another one, but it's out of the country.
Ah, got it.
Yeah. Yes.
Great.
Yeah, but I do have a duplex here in Houston also. So I was like, that's something maybe that.
Yeah, I love the duplex because each side of the duplex would normally lease for about $1,600 a month, and I get about $3,100 to $3,200 a month on each side
Oh wow,
on a 2-2
that's
in a good location. So it's by good location, I mean it's like 17 minutes to downtown, 12 minutes to the Apple campus, 3 minutes from Visa, um, 15 minutes to most hospitals. So again, it's that location that dictates everything.
yeah. Mm-hmm. That sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Vivian. This has been an amazing session. Definitely a lot to learn, a lot to explore. So thank you so much for your time. And any last words of advice that you have for us?
Yeah, I have a free masterclass on my website at vivianyip.com. So you can learn more about my journey there and how I ended up in this space and learn a few things because there's going to be a lot of stuff in there that I haven't been able to touch on due to the time limits we had tonight.
Absolutely. I'll put the link on the chat so they can join you in this mastermind. And thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you, guys. I'll
Bye.
put the
Thanks,
link
Vivian.
right
Thanks,
now
Sarah.
and I'll share it with the recording. Have a great night. Thank you.
All right, take care.